Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and I'm joined again this evening with my good friends, BZ Rigger and Lisa Rush. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
And I'm excited because, BZ, I want you to tell why we're doing this, because you actually got an inspiration from another conversation that we were having that was not recorded.
Right. It was an off-camera interchange, and then I was driving down the road the other day, and I've got my my audio memo, and the thought hit me to do it. So it's talking about money, not having any money. One of the reasons a lot of people find themselves going through the flow where they're absolutely at bottom or a little below bottom, and then how it swings in. So Lisa, can you take yourself back to that moment kind of, and maybe say or feel into what you were saying a little bit, and then we'll jump off from there?
Yeah, I remember, well, you were, I think you were talking about the $100 bills, because I wanted to read that article.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I said I don't have any $100 bills to look at. Like we were looking at, I don't have any bills. I mean, dollar bills. I'm broke. No money. So I think that's what might have inspired.
Yeah. Well, and actually, you added a new word in now that you didn't.
Okay.
That I'm broke.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah, I've been struggling with this a long time, so this is really the perfect conversation for me.
Okay.
I need this.
So, part of the, so I think if we play a little bit where the inspiration came when I was driving.
Yes.
And if you're a fly on the wall when I'm driving, it's pretty funny because I may be listening to I strip a lot of the audio off of videos, and because when I'm working, I can't watch the video, but I can hear the audio. And when I can driving, whether for work or the time when I have some time on my own to go off, like when it's agility team practice day, I have a lot of driving down, and because it takes us about 2 hours to get there and 2 hours back. So I'm a good mom. I take my doggy.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Awesome.
So I can listen to that stuff. But, so someone might hear this interesting or odd, depending on one's perspective, conversation going on. And then you watch me and I'll go, oh, yeah. And I'll hit the things that goes off, and I'm driving along and reach for my phone and hit the record button on that. And then I'm having this, as if I have a personal assistant or something. I'm like,
Sure.
Go do a video about X, Y, and Z. And pull in this and get research on that.
I love it.
So anyways, I was thinking about what you had been saying, and a good overview on that is that many beings have, part of it's an orchestration of laying out a plan before we come to the planet to do this.
Yeah.
But the overall point of this is that when you're going through the process of raising your frequency vibration, and so some people have done that before the planet has gone to such a higher level, and some people have not.
Okay.
So now that the planet has gone to that higher level, you don't have a choice. You have a choice. The free choice is you'll do it willingly and creatively about it, or that you'll have a tremendous amount of struggle, tremendous amount of discomfort, and I underline that, and there's lots of other words that would probably be more appropriate, but we'll just use discomfort. And so those are your choices,
Right.
Go with the flow and have things that are discomfort. Because, like I said, or hop off the planet,
Right.
Another one. And one of the reasons that is because your whole physical body is changing. So when you talk about ascension in body change, your mentalities, your spirit, your soul, all that is changing. Soul is coming in and all of you is up-leveling. So the density is shifting and falling away. But the density is held in your cellular molecules. And so you've heard about cellular memory. If you did something, if you're used to doing a thing, you know, I don't know why this has popped in my head, but it has. So roping a calf or something, you know, you've got the use of that, and it's a cellular memory. So even if you haven't riding a bike, if you haven't done it for a while, you can kind of get on and go back to doing it.
Yeah.
Well, lots of things are in your cellular memory.
Yeah.
So some kind of slight or insult or trauma or happiness or something can be in there, and something else will trigger it and it'll come up, or that's why scent is a big thing for triggering memories and those kinds of things.
Sure.
So as we go through the process of our bodies changing, our cellular structure is changing, and the density is releasing. And so all of the other things that are in there have to be expressed, you know, squished out. Or and another way you phrase it is you're expressing. So you're expressing your emotion. You're angry, you're sad, or you're afraid, or you're freaked out, or you're happy, or whatever it is. There's a whole host of things.
Right.
But as you go begin that process, when and money here is, it's not just about having it or not having it, because the way that the whole programming works, money is actually a catch phrase and a catch symptom for really that programming.
Sure.
So oftentimes people will talk about money or not having it or I'm broke or whatever, and it really is a descriptor that encompasses all of these other things with it. And the money is kind of like it's a shortcut. If you say that, everybody knows, and it brings up whatever they are, so it's a symbol.
Right. Yes.
And so as this whole process of the physical ascension is happening, you're being asked in a very loving, very gentle way, although it's always ongoing, by your soul, to make your soul your priority.
Yes.
To make the truth of who you are your priority.
Yes.
To make those little nudges, those inner knowings, the quiet voices talking to you, that which is all of you, your priority.
Yeah.
So sometimes we even, you know, use, well, I don't have enough money, or as you know, that screws pops right up there for whatever reason, because it's ingrained. And again, there's no coincidence in that. We're complicit in that. We keep, you know, going back to that well, but also the system has made it so that that's part of our thing, because they don't want you to have a priority for your soul or a priority for the truth of who you are. You might call it a priority for just being at peace, or any, you know, there's lots of different ways you can language it, but at the core of it is those two things.
Yes.
And so when you're not making it your priority, when you're not making your soul your priority, when you're not making the truth of who you are your priority, even if you have no really understanding of what that means or entails or encompasses, or maybe you think the truth of who you are is, you know, I'm a spiritual being. Maybe that's the you know, that's a baby step. But most people aren't even doing that.
Right.
So now we've gotten, and for the last, well, basically, let's be honest, since 2012, when there was a big shift, even if people looked around and said, I don't see anything, there was a big shift. And if we hadn't made the choice to make it a priority by 12/21/12, then that choice was taken over for us, by us. So
sure,
it's an inside job, literally and figuratively, we did it. And so for many people, the money part because that was the, that was kind of the either or that we kept focusing over there. And that for different people will mean different things. That could be, they literally were focused on money all the time and making it and success and the ladder and yada, yada, yada. Or they were trying to make it or trying to stay above and we're not giving them balance in their lives and all those other kinds of things. And so for many, 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 many people, with lots of commas and zeros, the dive has been coming because as all of that flows out, so that literally they don't have, the perception is that they don't have anything.
Right.
That then maybe elicits a response for them that I don't have any dollars and I'm broke.
Yes.
And when you say words, when you say the I and the am and the something, you claim it.
Right. Yes.
And you bring it into material manifestation.
Yes.
And so when you get there, and some it's a sharp dive, some it's bumpy, some it's incredibly painful, some it's overnight. Everybody's story is different because everybody's unique. But as that's happening, then you begin, because, there are phrases like let go and let God. And you don't even have to have been in a religious faith or something to know that, because it's a common phrase. There's
right.
Self-help books and all that kind of stuff. And what that really is referring to is getting to that moment where, since all the other distractions and all the other things that could have been judged as great or expansive from a materialistic way or something, they're just not there anymore. Or they really are starting to be shop worn and show that they really weren't. We can see through the illusion. We don't know it's quite an illusion yet, but it's doing funny things, and we can kind of peek around the corner of it. And so now, even if you may not label it that way or language it that way, you're actually making your soul your priority.
Yes.
Because even in those frightened or desperate or pissed off or angry or whatever they are moments of, because it's the money thing. And again, it's not just, I don't have any money not just greenbacks, there or whatever finnings or something, but it's everything that goes with that, because that's a label.
Yes.
And so all of that is imploding in various ways, shapes, and forms. Mm-hmm. And now your soul is your priority.
Yes.
Again, even if you wouldn't know to think to language it that way. And in that is a tremendous beauty, because there's a tremendous freedom that comes from that. Even if it feels like, you're trapped from this and other, from not having money or having to work all the time or whatever those things that, are the at that moment, the physical representation of it. And the beauty comes in a couple layers. So I'll describe some of them. One is that now you're on a trajectory that has forever changed you, all that are around you, excuse me, and every other being on this planet and as it goes out.
Sure.
Because you are singular, you're a singularity, but you are also part of the whole. So as that one gets broken down and those shells, the false constructs, the illusions, the programs, the traps, again, however you want to, is getting, worn away, or then that the quantum multidimensionalness of what you are, which is always around you all the time, because only part of you is in this physical body.
Yes.
And loves you all the time and is waiting for you to come to this moment. Then you start to climb back up. So because you have reached, really, in a lot of instances, one might say, and there are other ways to do it, but this is a very This is a very common one.
Okay.
You have reached that farthest reach of the duality separation.
Right.
And going down that path. So in source, wanting to know source, you have taken it all the way and realized that what you keep bumping up against is the illusion, although you may not see it as that yet.
Yes.
And when that happens and you know, things really are cracking off and you're kind of noticing what's that dust, you know, from, then you actually have switched your trajectory.
Right.
So let's see if I can do a picture with my hands here. So you start as source, completely enmeshed, totally as one in the soup of source, because source is all things and no things all at once. He, she.
Right.
Okay, so the soup of source.
Okay.
That just came to me, but okay.
I like it.
The soup of source.
It is super.
So you're in there. And then you go forth and you become kind of the way Sheila describes it, a fractal of source going out to no source.
Yeah.
And you go out and you go on the journey and then you go and those who came to this planet in particular, because of the importance and because of the experiment, the game, there's lots of labels for it that was going on here and the way it was set up and all of the richness involved in it, you actually have chosen, because it was chosen, you've chosen the flow that for every experience or every amount of, well, you're going into linear, so time is valid in this instance.
Right.
You know, it has, from an expansive experiential growth, source knowing source perspective, one, I don't even know, one measure of that, so one moment, one experience, whatever, you know, so one unit, whatever one unit of that, just so we can have a placeholder for words.
Right.
One unit is like many, and don't quote me on the ratio because I think I'm going to say it way too low, but like many thousands of years someplace else in the realm of experiential and expansion and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, I'll play it in money. So for
less.
for every, you know, you get an experience, and in this field of linear time construct on this particular planet, for each unit that you're putting in on this particular planet, and again, these are just words that I'm using as an illustration for the construct. Okay. So for each unit that you partake in, engage in, get back, whatever it is, you get $100. Whereas any other place, you'd only get $1.
Is that, in your estimation, is that due to the density or the difficulty or whatever it is of this particular existence or this particular game?
Yes, all of those things and so much more. The complexity of it, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And the magnitude of the complexity as it relates to the rest of the all, because we're all, so we actually are what happens here affects all.
Yes.
And the completion of this and the way that it came down, is coming down, and is completing affects all in a very powerful way.
Yeah.
In specific, you know, again, placeholder linear ways,
Yep.
in quantum ways, in multidimensional ways, in galactic history ways, and
Wow.
just kind of pick any way, and yeah. So when you come to that point, so go back to the money, when you come to that point and you're making the soul your priority, you have switched your trajectory. Okay, I remember where I was. So the pictures, you're in super source soup here, and you come out and you go and you chose to go here.
Right.
So it could have been you've chosen multiple incarnations. It could be just this time. So whatever, you've chose to come here. You've gone through this. It's the $100 bonus round. I should probably say $1 million bonus round, but you've gone here.
Let's go with million.
and so that's going as pretty close to as well. No, I think it is because of the complexity, as far as you can from where you started over here.
Yes.
And so your trajectory there was going, as actually should look more like this. You were going down as far, swimming to the depths.
Right.
And the outest reaches of that.
Yes.
And when you go down, as you described, nothing kind of a thing.
Yep.
you
reach the bottom.
That's right. And things start to break apart, and all of that perspective, that illusion, which we would label as, a lot of the emotions that are behind it, of worry or fear or annoyance, or fixated on money and lack of, and lack of self-esteem, lack of this, lack of that. Okay.
Yes. All of it.
When you get there to that bottom, I'm making hand signals, but I got to do it when the video can see me. So you get to that bottom, right?
Okay.
Then, even if sometimes at the moment it's not all that recognizable, there is a moment of epiphany where you then turn and your trajectory is coming back to all of source. Now, as you go along that, you can make the choice to go completely back to source. That's all choices that people can make.
Okay.
Or you can stay in physical embodiment, in physical ascension.
Yeah.
And that's what ascension is, where the heart is opening. And I'll get more into some of these and other things, but on the money thing, so you change your trajectory, you actually can have that going back to source, but right here.
Yes.
So
I'll take that, please.
Yeah. So all of it, think of it this way, all of it comes into you here.
Yeah.
And now, because it is your priority, it changes everything. It changes all your perspectives. It changes how you walk in the world. It changes how you transmit your energy. It changes everything. It also changes your attraction point and your abundance point and everything else, because now you realize that the money and everything associated with it is an illusion. So like oftentimes if you don't have money, there's a lot of self-worth tied up in that. All that's an illusion.
Right.
And that speaks to the coming from the heart and opening the heart. And the heart is not open if you don't have those things.
Right.
Because there are physical manifestations, reflections of those things. Remember that the physical is the last thing out there. So as people are, as beings are changing their trajectory, and they may be quite a ways on, that trajectory. So they've gone from this, they're starting this and expanding and all that kind of stuff. But the physical is the last thing that comes, because it's an inside job. Yes. So it will change. It takes the last to change, and that can happen very quickly. But also the way it looks, if you're not used to looking from the eyes and the perspective of the source trajectory, the expansive trajectory, and you're still, because sometimes we'll switch back and forth between those, this view screen, and we're looking for the old perspective, those things, we're not seeing it. We can say, well, look, there's proof. Well, no, because you're looking at something that you had already proved to yourself was an illusion. Instead of looking at, so you guys gave a great example when you were on your story a while back and you were going to get the haircut and this, that, and the other thing, and the money came there. Or when Sheila talks about, well, you know, I was worried and afraid and needed a place to live, and so I put this thing in, and then it came, right? And then I was worried and afraid because, you know, well, maybe I'm spitting in Source's eye because of this.
Yes.
Right? Because you were both on the new trajectory back to Source, or Source coming to you.
Yes.
But you were languaging it and mentalitying it from the other trajectory, which was
right. Exactly. Yeah.
And then for a moment you believe that and you're like, oh my God, wait. And then you're like, oh, wait. You know, it's kind of like if you ever have a cat and a dog, and the cat and the dog are friendly, and then one day the cat starts to run away from the dog, and the dog chases the cat, and Rose says, she's saying, what was I thinking? Why did, you know, and she stops, the dog stops, and it's like,
right.
I remember. I'm not supposed to do that because that's what happens, you know. So when you have, now you can make your choice ahead of time, or in the moment, or as you're in the flow, so that you don't get bottom, and you can, you know, and make your priority. But often people don't do that.
Right.
So it wasn't my choice for some reason.
Exactly.
You know, I chose the under a rock by, you know, many miles under the rock kind of a thing.
Yep.
And so one of the beauties of it is, as you change that trajectory, everything changes. And the money is now, because we're still in the shifting of all this where money is still used.
A thing. Yeah.
But the whole energy around and how you hold it. And so now it will flow back in, provided that the soul stays the priority.
Yes.
And the following of the nudges and working through what it is and remembering and standing in what you agreed to come here to do. And you agreed to yourself to come here to do.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
Then the money comes in as tools. Simply, that's all it is.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly.
it's like a bag of flour or whatever it is. I mean, it's just as that. There's no attachment to it, and it just comes in and it is.
I was just getting ready to say that I would take that for myself. What I'm hearing you say in that is that part of the reason a lot of what I see out there is just that we, not so much us specifically, but we as the collective, we as the whole, are still operating under that, and therefore being creator beings, there's still that being mired in all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
For me personally, that's just another indication why remaining up here, I'm saying up here in terms of vibratory frequency or whatever, and the knowing that my abundance is right there all the time, and I don't need to worry about that one way or the other, is of paramount importance for me, because the moment I step down into that other vibratory frequency, for whatever the reason, whether it be, you know, because so-and-so over here is wanting to argue about whether or not they're a creator being, or I'm a creator being, or whatever, they're free to think and feel however they like. But in creating in my reality bubble, which our reality bubbles can overlap, I feel, but I want to keep mine up here and know that, and just know, gosh, I am finally actually saying, just know I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be abundant in whatever and not even consider or worry about that $170 electric bill that I just got.
Right.
Because it's not for me to figure out how that's going to happen. It will happen. It'll take care of itself in some manner, shape, or form. I know that I'm abundant, and it will just, I'm not going to concern myself about it.
Right. And this isn't, and the beauty of this is that now you can find various empirical data, scientific studies that will prove this out. Okay. So if someone has, that kind of thing, you alluded to some of them in the piece that you did about being a creator being. So, observer effect is one thing. So that was a study back in 32 or 31.
The double slit.
Yeah. So, and it changes matter. So it does matter where you are, and it does matter because you're pulling it into matter. So if you're having so now we got a bunch of scientific things in quantum science that are pointing to all this. It's empirical, double blind, yada, 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 yada. So no woo-woo, straight science.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So you've got all that. So if you're focusing on and churning on, to use your example of that bill, then it matters because you're putting it into matter, because you're making it matter. Right. And there's lots of ways that people language that, but the base is still the same. Right. And so one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I thought was really to me, the playful, fun, exciting part of talking just a tiny little bit about this piece is that however you're doing it, you're either going down and hitting and then changing your trajectory, or you're somewhere in, the portion of that, and you go, oh, wow, okay, I got it. My priority is X, right? So however you want to change that, wherever you are, that's fine. And there is no judgment, and there is no better or worse. It isn't better to be up here and think who and go do that, or go all the way. There is no. It's your experience, and a lot of which you chose before you even came. Yes. So that you can, because it could be part of your mission to help others to go through that, or to change it, or whatever it is. So second guessing and all that is not helpful, and it's not focusing as your priority on yourself, on your soul self. Yes. Because it's switching the trajectory back that way. You're doing a 180 and you're spinning in the car and you're hitting the gas, and it's a
going
choice
in the wrong direction.
It's a very real choice point. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And to go back to the observer effect, so as you're observing and as you're choosing and as you're, not only coming banking in, that change in trajectory, and now, you're speeding up coming out of the curve because you can feel it, because you may not know what you feel, but you know that it feels really cool, and it's different, and it's empowering, and it's expansive, and, your hands are vibrating, and you're quantum-y thingy and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Just you go with it, and you'll notice that you're actually picking up all sorts of streams where you're slipstreaming on that frequency, because you're losing density. It's kind of blowing off behind you, and you literally are ramping up and expanding at the same time. And you're not doing it in a vacuum. Right. You're on this really cool planet that's, she's way up there, and, so get on board.
Leading the way. Right. Well, I was really struggling with getting a sense of security behind having dollarinis in the bank. And so I was sort of gauging the amount of cushion I had, or security, if you will, in the bank at any moment, at any given time, to dictate how I felt. And so when you have nothing, you can't base your security upon the numbers in the bank account anymore. That game doesn't work, because I was still alive, and in reality I was secure, So yeah, I can see where being penniless for me served a really big purpose, because I was able to look at it with new eyes. And now I see that I am abundant, which means I have exactly what I need, exactly when I need it. And I already have that. And so I don't anymore feel that being broke means I'm insecure or that my needs aren't met, because once upon a time I really did. And now I'm trying to see it more as that excitement that you talk about, where I can't wait to see how I manifest what I need next. Because I can't go, well, I'll write a check or this will come in and then because I don't know what's coming in or when, and I don't know how. So I'm trying to not focus on that anymore. That meaning, how will I get it? Just what it is that I want. I'm trying to focus instead on what pleases my heart and my soul and what serves me. And then, focus there. And then the rest will just come, and that'll be some exciting story that I get to tell.
Well, and in that you also are in your service to others in various things, because you're actually being service to others in the new frequency that you're holding within yourself.
Yes. And so for me, BZ, the real conundrum here was I gave up working so that I could focus on doing this 100% of the time, not being divided in any way at all. And we didn't really know how we were going to make that happen. And I say we because I'm married. So I have this whole other, how do I focus on me, the individual, and make that a priority in relationship? Because that's a whole new challenge. And
because I can attest to the fact that it might not work in relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't always.
No.
And it's always, and it's a moment by moment. So we've been together for 22 years, but every day it's a new choice and a new dedication. It isn't a one and done deal. You have to rededicate yourself each day to this person, this relationship, make it work. But you also have to do the same to your own inner priority of, like you said, allowing your soul to be the sole reason you are here. and really allow that to lead the program. And for me, as I'm trying to work out that balance, I knew that working a JOB was not serving me. And yes, I was a nanny. That's what I did for a profession. And I would run somebody's life. I was in their home, raising their children, organizing their home, organizing their life. People gave me broad carte blanche to run the house efficiently. And I did that very, very well. I'm good at that. And my life was suffering because my family was on the back burner. My dedication to spirit and what I really came here for had to be over here on my own time, which was very small amount. And I had to make the hard choice to give up the comfort of the security of having the checking account with the ones and zeros in it that made me feel secure. And I had to choose whether I wanted that kind of security or if I wanted the security of being fully who I am and really living that out loud. Because I know that what I was doing for my work, I wasn't shuffling papers or doing some mind-numbing activity. I was raising children and supporting families. And to me, that was important work. And I'm very proud of the work that I did. And I enjoy the kind of work that I did. But because it took so much of my time and energy, it wasn't as enjoyable anymore. it became a chore and a stress, and I wasn't able to take care of me, the real me. I wasn't able to, I was ignoring my heart songs. There were things that I wanted to do on this planet, for myself and for everybody. And I kept putting that in the back seat and saying, I'll get to that. And, through a series of unfortunate events, I was able to really look at what I was doing and make a new decision. And I'm really, really grateful that I did. Keaton, love you so much.
He likes the transition he's hearing you go through.
Yeah. So it's a thing too where I still do every now and again. I get to panicking, like I'll get a bill or something will happen, the car will break down. And I think, I know that I could make $1,000 a week again. I know that. And I've even been faced with it. My daughter was showing me an ad for somebody local, looking for a nanny for $1,000 a week. And I think, what am I doing? I'm torturing everyone with this, this, whatever I think I'm doing over here. And the bottom line is I would rather have the fancy story of how I manifest stuff out of thin air than go back to living small and, not following what my heart really wants from me. Mm-hmm. And so I know that I will be supported, but I have to, it's not a habit yet. I kind of have a habit of feeling that if I had the dollars in the bank again, that I would be secure. And the reality is I have to own that I'm already secure and that there's nothing those dollars, those ones and zeros are giving to me or even adding to me, because I'm the one who is the value. And so, yeah, I'm I sometimes forget and think about those ones and zeros. But really for me right now, I'm okay with being broke, because that has really nothing to do with who I am, which is total abundance. Mm-hmm. And really my life is proving that over and over again. And it's just been a thrill ride, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me personally, it's been an adventure in understanding or comprehending, I should say. I don't like that word anymore. Now that I get what that
You've been doing a lot of it, that's why you're comprehending now.
Yeah, perhaps. But for me, it's more of a comprehension of exactly the difference between abundance, want, and need. Because I didn't get to 490 pounds by just having what I needed. Yeah, so that, and I think that probably applies to a lot of, other beings on the planet. We've been kind of helped along in trying to understand that what you need is. Let me tell you what you need. What you need is the newest spangled thing on the block, yes, or you just ain't nobody.
Yes.
That's just not the truth. Mm-mm. And so, and I mean, right down to, for me now, I'm very clear that I don't need as much food as we've always been told that we need. There are certain things that we do need that we've not even been told that. Water is the biggest one that I can point to, mm-hmm, as the water Nazi. So, for me, it's been I am transitioning into comprehending for myself the difference between a want and a need. Mm-hmm. And that has really helped me with realizing where the abundance truly is, mm-hmm, and what that's about.
Yeah.
You guys are bringing up some great illustrations, so I'm just
Awesome.
making some notes here so I don't forget. So first of all, I wanted to point out some ironies for all, who are experiencing and in this conversation with us.
Yes.
You mentioned a couple times, the dollars in the bank. Well, the irony in that is that they're simply, this is a napkin, but they're simply pieces of paper.
Right.
And they have no intrinsic value in themselves. They're simply pieces of paper. And if you can look in even mainstream media talking about, the collapse coming and this and that and the other thing. So great, you would be secure and working and doing all this and have that, and then overnight it's gone. So
and then what?
How's that security doing now?
Right.
So that's, to me, the irony of that it's an illusion.
Yes.
Which is becoming very apparent to lots of people, even if they haven't, come all the way to the end of this trajectory.
Yeah. Right.
And another point I wanted to make too is that, Sheila, you just mentioned all the things that we're encouraged that we need and the greatest thing. And again, the irony there is that all of that really, it may fill up physical spaces in house or mentality, but it actually, every time we do it, it empties us out. It empties our energy bank account. It empties our frequency vibrational bank account. It empties. So it's pulling it by design.
Well, it also
on purpose by design.
For me, it also, what I have come to comprehend for myself at any rate, is that every bit of that, including collecting of particular individuals, has all been to try to fill a void that I was actually being asked to fill myself. And I wasn't paying attention. And this is not a reflection on anyone else. I'm speaking about me. And so for every bit of that, from the, filling my mouth, getting to 490 pounds, to, all kinds of things, all trying to fill the void of my own stepping into and realizing who I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I now know that intrinsically with every fiber of not only my physical being, but my energetic being as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that goes for me personally into relationships as well.
Oh yeah.
Not just romantic ones, but all sorts of relationships.
Right.
And so, once, and, quite frankly, I'm not there yet. But I am in transition. I am much farther along than I've ever been.
Me too.
So, and I feel really good about that. I know what direction I'm going in.
Right. You change your trajectory.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes it's not, it takes some time for the external to come around because it's your design. So Big Sheila, Big Lisa, Big BZ, whoever did that. It's part of the turning the trajectory because it has value in the service to others and part of your mission.
Right.
And some it turns around very quickly, again, because that's part of their agreement and the mission. And it's not for simply because of the external thing, it's just the tool.
Right.
Right. Yes.
And for me, there's the irony, and the other thing too is that, and this is another conversation, so I'll just touch on it for a moment here. But as people raise their vibrational frequency and they bring their DNA online and all of their DNA and turn fully turn into and tune into and embrace the truth of who they are, and are having that merge of physical body ascension with the heart opening and DNA activation and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They also come to a different realization, perspective, and holding that the human wants and needs don't matter, and is not the priority, and isn't really what it's all about at all.
Yeah.
And their soulness and the soul priorities and all that, and is what matters. And that changes everything. It changes the flow. It changes the capabilities, changes all that. And yes, there is some, getting used to that. And yes, there is some ego mind, arguing on that. And yeah, that's why that's a whole other conversation. Well, I'm going to leave that part there. But the last part I wanted to touch on that you guys brought up is the want and the need. And for me, for a very long time, it was in the process of that, fully at the bottom of that trajectory, was just throwing those words and holding it that way, because at that time, and I'm kind of having to go back in to deconstruct it, because I don't even think about it now.
Sure.
Because it isn't in my, I don't hold it that way. But for me at the time when I had the epiphany, that was very hierarchical, very, very, a very good extreme duality. And somehow if I used one word and the energy behind it and the meaning, I was good, or, not overstepping something. And if I did the other, I wasn't.
Okay. I follow what you're saying.
Just a replacement for the same old shit that I've come at. So I thought, well, that's dumb, because I'm already here, and I will not allow, and this was many, many, many years ago that it happened, but I will not allow any distractions. I will not allow any kind of anything to pull me off of, because I know what my priority is, and I know what my focus is, and I know who I am, and I know all of that expansion in that. And so I'm not going to even play in holding something that way.
Yeah.
All right, now when you say,
because if I'm a creator being, I'm either a creator being or I'm not. So if I'm a creator being, I'm not worrying, is that a want or a need?
I see. Okay.
I agree. And I'm putting that to the test, because I've been saying this for many years to myself. I'm a creator being. And I've been telling everybody who will talk to me. And of course, now it's just about the three of you. I mean, the three of us. That we don't need money. We don't need money. And I think it is part of my mission to prove that I don't need money, and I can do everything I want to do and have everything I want to have without money. Now, sometimes money, my dad likes to point out, sometimes money is involved in how you're doing this. Didn't you give the hairdresser money? Don't tell me you manifested it, because yes, there was money because of the playground that we play in. But I'm not, go ahead.
It's just a placeholder.
Yes, and it's a tool, and it came in and it went out. But it isn't required for every transaction either. No. Because lots of times it will come to me, the thing that I desire. And I'll be able to maybe do a fair value exchange for somebody, or I don't know. I'm really playing right now with, okay, so for instance, let's go back to the scarf story, right? I was going to sell these scarves to make money for the hair, because it was what came to me as a thing I could do. Well, that didn't work out. And I got to thinking about, I tuned in with that.
Is that one of the scarves right there?
Yes.
I want one.
Okay. It's yours.
Now I want to buy one, but that's
Well,
really
so this is what I tuned into the issue with the scarves and what I was doing, and I realized it was an energetic I was holding, and it came to me that the scarves didn't enjoy being held hostage for money, and so I released them. I don't sell scarves; I gift scarves because it's what I do, and the act of creating it's a crochet thing, and I call it Zen through crochet because it's a meditation for me, and it's also, to me, this scarf is the whole. It tells the story because it's one string and it's many individual stitches, and they create. So I am the string, I am the stitch, I am the scarf kind of scenario. And when I'm in the zone with the scarfing, I call it. I like scarves because they're fast and it's complete in an hour or two, and it's satisfying. I also do other things that are bigger projects and it takes more time. But at any rate, it becomes a meditation for me, and while I'm sitting there, things come in. I'm just very open, I'm very receptive, and the scarves told me they didn't really like being held hostage. So I freed them, and I said, all right, my scarves are free because they're loaded with love. I also intune them. Sometimes with a very specific energetic, something will come in during the creation of the scarf or the blanket or whatever it is that I'm working on. And it's a package deal, like it's a gift that it's an energetic that I infuse. And it's more important to me that the energetic be released instead of hoarded, because it felt like hoarding. I have this bag of scarves I've been carrying around that I'm monetizing because I need money. Okay, well, the truth of it is I don't need money. There are things I wish to do, and yes, money is a tool and it's valid, but so is any other tool that I pick up and use.
right.
So I'm playing with detaching myself from money in the way that I used to be attached to it. I'm releasing that attachment. And then I realized that I was sort of substituting other things like, oh, now the scarves represent a way or whatever. But in the moment that I released the scarves, I started to sell scarves. So that's really cool too. There's an energetic that I was holding where I was limiting myself from
Yes.
what I really wanted to have, do, or be.
So
And it was
right in there, right in that piece, I'm going to stop you there because that piece is really important. Remember, we talked about the trajectory and you change it and you have the no flow. But as you change the trajectory, you actually bring the flow in because your whole frequency has changed. So now the flow of money for that, which is now an exchange, and the greenbacks is just a metaphor, right? So
right.
Say, I'll give you a cow, or I'll give you a couple hours work, or hey, I've got this, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Sure.
So they're just trading, that metaphor.
Yes.
So that's when you embrace that, not because it's money coming in, but because it's energy coming in.
Yes.
And an energy in a metaphoric way that's, a rectangular piece of paper with some green symbols on it that you can then pass in others. It could be more thread for more scarves for more exchange. The other thing that really lit up for me is, we've touched on other things, but two things. When you shift in that flow of your energy, that truly is what abundance is. Because remember, I talked about it, you're creator beings. Creators don't hold on to what they create. It's sandpaper. Again. You create it and you let it go. You create it and you let it go. You create it and you let it go. Whatever it is, it could be all sorts of things. Just create it because it's the creation that is the sublime, juicy yumminess. And the releasing, which is expansion, which is giving, which is service to others, which is
satisfying in and of itself.
Energy must keep flowing. It cannot be contained in that respect.
Right.
And so it brings all things forward. So that's one of the things. The other thing is that as your colors really changed, and I had a whole video come in when you were talking about that the scarf is the meditation. When you're scarfing, it's the meditation. Mm-hmm. And that's a workshop. That would be of a tremendous service to other people. Could be locally in the community, could be other things, because we're in moments in time right now that are very chaotic and very stressful.
Yes.
And the video had men and women, so male energy and female energy in vessels that were there because part of the workshop is, you could give a little bit of instruction on how to do the scarves so they get going, but mostly it's that whole meditation energetic and the whole shift in from money to metaphor to exchange of energy and the value. Yeah. So however that pops open for you, but that's a very valuable thing. So you could say, well, you're selling this, that, and the other thing. Well, not really, but okay, you could, on a linear perception, you could say that.
Sure.
But really what's happening is an exchange of energy that is incredibly valuable for other people, and they get a scarf out of it, some other things as well. But now it's really opening them up to a whole world of things.
Yes. That happened. That I witnessed that. Exactly what you're speaking of. Okay, so I scarf a lot and because it brings me comfort. And so when I'm stressed, I must scarf. And I was doing this at the dance studio. My daughter was in competitive dance. And so we spent upwards of 15 hours a week in that dance studio. And, here I am in DC in a dance studio with, people that you would not imagine to be all sitting in a room for hours each week. And here we were. And one lady said, oh, you have to teach me how to do that because people were relaxing because I was scarfing in the room, right?
Because you're changing the energy of the room.
By the end of it, I had all the dance moms crocheting scarves. And we started selling them with our annual bake sale because we all had, first we were donating them to the women's shelter by the bagfuls, and that was exciting. But then somebody had shown hers off at work, and we got a request to make one for somebody. And so we were like, I was on the fundraising committee, and so I said to the girls, why don't we've tried everything else, why don't we sell these scarves we're making? And we started, this is funny. We were at a competition and there was a lady on the floor. She was crocheting around flip-flops. The plastic she was buying, dollar store flip-flops. It's just so funny.
Oh, I got it. And she making little scarves on the straps.
Yeah, fuzzy. This material, this fun, it's called fun fur actually, but it was soft because her kid was getting a blister from the hard plastic.
I bet those flip-flops were all the rage, man, for the kids.
Oh my, yes, because you could pick your color schemes and all of that. Mm-hmm. And so we were scarfing and flopping all over the place and selling them. And that was our biggest fundraiser, were the scarves and the flip-flops, because we were going with studio colors. We were selling to other studios. Anyway. So there is a thing that happened, the energetic behind all of us doing that together. Well, it bonded us as a group. And before you know it, we were making money from it too. Right. So I know that that's a thing.
So if you're moved to do, there you go.
Yeah. Thank you. That's brilliant.
Well, BZ, I really appreciate your bringing this topic up this evening, and I really got a lot out of this for myself, and
it's a good one.
I'm sure a lot of other folks did too. So thank you so much. to both of you for this. And we're going to have links to the IUV in the show more section of this video for sure. And we're going to have, of course, a link to Lisa's Heart Songs and hey, and scarves. So thank you both so much for coming this evening. And like, share as you feel led, and please do comment in the comment section. I read them all and I appreciate it. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
All right, so BZ was making a great point. I cut it off a little too earlier and I asked if we could come back so BZ can say this because I think it's very important. So please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, one of the last points and ironies that I wanted to point out is that people are saying, well, you know, if I had my TDDA, I could do all this and I wouldn't have to. Okay, wrong. Because if you had unfettered access right this moment to your TDDA and you haven't done the work and you haven't shifted the trajectory and you haven't made your soul a priority, there will be constantly things coming up that actually are a blocking mechanism between you and that unfettered access. You know, with the Eternal Essence cards, whatever it is, my card's broken, this won't work, something's happened, something's going on. It's constantly changing. So you may get something, or it goes away, or it doesn't come the way you thought it would, or help you the way you thought it would, or you don't have the excitement, oh, I've got, look at all these zeros and dollars and I can do anything, and it's not working. Because the energetics won't support it now, because this is not happening in a vacuum, because we're not linear anymore. And try as you might, it won't work. It just won't work. And you can see evidence of that all around you because the Illuminati and such, you know, are having the same thing. Well, why aren't these, whatever they are, false flags, this working? Because you're not in linear anymore. So it's an important thing. Yes, those things will come to fruition. Yes, there will be unfettered access, and more than you can even think of. In your biggest rendition of what that is I can tell you.
Yay.
But unless you've done the work and made the choices, it won't come the way you think it is. It won't work out the way you think it will. It won't be that thing that you're holding and waiting for because you haven't done the trajectory.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of hearing some questions, so that might be a bit more of a longer conversation.
Yeah, we can do it another one, but I think this is a good place to hold this one because that's one. There's a lot to think about, a lot to feel into, a lot to play with, and hey, you know what? The comment section's a really good place for questions.
Yes, it is. Very good. Because I do read them all, and I do take into account that. And not only that, but I also want to say again that my email address is in every one of these show more section videos. And if a person feels that they don't want to leave a comment for everyone to see, feel free to email me. I have had folks take me up on that, and they can attest to the fact that I do answer those emails. So, and as some will see very soon here, when an idea is presented for a conversation, it absolutely is addressed. So
they're good jumping off points too.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you all.
You can anonymously jump off. So you leave the comment, ask the question whenever it is, but you just want to be in it.